Today we are going to see why it is near impossible to capture the Strait of Hormuz. As many of you are already aware, since the 28th of February, after the US and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury with the objective of overthrowing the current Iranian government, Iran responded by targeting US bases and energy facilities in Gulf countries, and also by blocking the Strait of Hormuz. A gap of roughly 40 kilometers at its narrowest point, and yet it has the power to choke the entire world. Around 20% of global oil and gas, and hundreds of billions of dollars in trade, pass through this single point every day. By shutting it down, Iran has put the United States under enormous economic and strategic pressure. And now we are at a point where many experts are debating whether the next step would be the use of ground forces to take physical control of the strait. Because if the US wants to continue this conflict until all objectives are met, it has no choice but to find a way to significantly ease the shortage of critical goods flowing to global markets. But given Iran's geography and its doctrine of fighting a far stronger opponent through asymmetric warfare means, achieving full control of the strait is close to impossible. Now, many of you may already know that the US, for years, has maintained a naval base near this strait, with the purpose of sending a message that any Iranian attempt to block would be met with unprecedented firepower. Iran has always known this, and that is precisely the point. Iran did not build its military to fight the United States in a conventional battle. It built its military to make any US attempt to forcibly open the strait costly and complicated, that the most powerful navy in the world would struggle. But first, let's understand the scale of the problem. On any given day, before the blockade, roughly 138 ships passed through the Strait of Hormuz. Right now, after the closure, that number has dropped to 3 ships per day. So for the US to meaningfully ease the situation, it would need to guarantee safe passage to somewhere around 50 ships per day. If I am not mistaken, the strait has 2 shipping lanes, each roughly 3 kilometers wide. For commercial shipping to resume at that scale, the US would need to establish control not just over those lanes, but over all 3 mediums, sea, air and land simultaneously, against a prepared Iran on its home soil. When looking at geography, Iran's advantage becomes very apparent. Along the coastline, Iran's terrain is rugged and mountainous. The Zagros mountain range essentially drops right down to the water. This terrain is extremely difficult to maneuver, but very easy to hide. And Iran has been exploiting this for decades. As you already know, they have hardened bunkers, underground missile storage facilities, and pre-positioned launch sites concealed in natural terrain. But the most dangerous weapon is anti-ship missiles, because it can use shoot and scoot tactics. Iran possesses several families of anti-ship missiles, with ranges from 120 kilometers to over 200 kilometers. And several of these missiles are capable of targeting a moving target. As these are not sitting in fixed locations, and can be mounted on mobile launchers which can relocate rapidly, means destroying them is very difficult. And even after a sustained, weeks-long air campaign, you would never be certain that all are eliminated. And it only takes one surviving launcher to jeopardize the entire operation. Now the second biggest threat are sea mines. It is reported that Iran holds one of the largest naval mine stockpiles in the world, ranging from old contact mines to modern ones, that can detect the acoustic and magnetic signatures of specific vessel types. Apart from it being equalizer, more importantly, the threat of mines forces every ship to slow down and requires constant minesweeping operations to be maintained across the entire transit. As minesweeping is slow and requires specialized vessels that themselves move at low speed and are highly vulnerable, meaning it is not practical. On top of that, you have to make sure there are no mines in the path at all times, which makes it near impossible. Furthermore, you now also have a weapon that has changed how you conduct any ground operation, that is the FPV drone. And if you have been following the battlefield in Ukraine, you already understand the threat it poses. With a range of tens of kilometers, it becomes very hard to defend against. and it only has to disable a ship to block the entire corridor, as now it has to be cleared, while facing several other Iranian threats. And lastly, Iran may still possess some type of navy, even after claims of it being destroyed. As Iran's doctrine is to use small boats to swarm the opponent, this makes the threat significant. If you add all this, you clearly see why this makes taking control of the Strait of Hormuz nearly impossible. The USA will have to commit huge resources and maintain it for the entire operation. And this could be the reason why President Trump is asking countries around the world to help secure the corridor. But involving other countries increases the risk of starting something really big. And finally, there's one more dimension that makes this situation even more difficult to resolve, even if a deal were to be struck tomorrow. Iran has been systematically targeting energy production and export infrastructure across Gulf states. What this means is that, even if the Strait were to be reopened, even if ships could transit freely, the production capacity and export infrastructure may not be intact enough to immediately restore normal supply flows. The pressure Iran is applying is not limited to the water, as it is being applied to the entire system at once.